So we are looking at a service ticket and we're going to make a mistake. So just so that we can show you how to fix it. So right now, ignore the fact that there's $100 deposit because this was done earlier. I'm going to create a check entry here for, let's say $50, and we're going to pay it. So now if we view the invoice, we can see that there's another $50. If we come over here to accounting and we go to the cash drawer, you can see that there's a $50 deposit for check here in the cash drawer. Now we're going to go back over here to this service ticket and we're going to make a mistake. We're going to create another, we didn't realize, we weren't paying attention, and we created another $50 check for this particular service ticket. And so now if we view the unit, you can see here that we have a $200 now. So those two $50 have been added. If we go over here to the cash drawer, you'll see that we actually have two entries for the same thing. We did not mean to put that check in there twice. And so now we need to fix it. Now, the one thing to keep a note of is that this is a check. If you're doing this with Visa, credit card, any credit card or cash or any of those kind of things, then we really don't care that we can do this process pretty simply. But with a check, we need to be careful, because if you give money back as a check, then you're going to end up writing a check into the checking account to refund that money to the customer, and that's not exactly what we want to have happen. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing we want to do is we're going to go to receivables and view that customer's account. You'll see the two $50 entries here. We want to get rid of one of these entries, but you'll notice if I hit pay receivables to give the money back, there's no credits listed. And the reason is because each of these credits are tied to a specific invoice, and therefore I can't undo that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to edit one of these entries. It doesn't really matter which one we do, but I'm going to edit the entry and I'm going to change it from a specific invoice to any invoice. So I'm telling Lizzie, look, I want you to untie this thing so that I can refund it to the customer, or at least use it for something different. And so we're going to go ahead and save that change, so that now when we go to pay receivables, we actually have the entry here to give the customer the money back. So we're going to select that deposit to refund, but we do not ever in this situation want to select to refund it via the check. Now, yes, we want it to show up as a check over in the deposit module so that we can offset it, but we cannot refund it here as a check because Lizzie thinks that it needs to write a check out of the checkbook, and you can't void that because it's tied to this invoice. So even though I want this as a check, we're going to refund it as cash. So just recap here, do not ever refund this with a check unless you physically are writing a check. And in this case, we're fixing a problem. So we definitely are not going to write the customer a check because they didn't pay us twice. So we're going to do this as cash. We're going to process the payment. And so if we view the current AR, you'll notice that that entry is gone. So we have fixed the problem that we had here in the AR section, but now let's go look in the customer deposit section. And here we have a problem because we have cash. So if we open this up, here's our cash entry. If we open this up, this is our check that we're wanting to get rid of. We want to kill one of these checks. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit the payment type. We're going to tell it that it is a check, and then we can put in the check number if we want to, but we're just going to save that so that now we only have a $50 deposit in checks, and these two guys actually will offset each other. And in fact, you can go ahead and select them and deposit them right now, and it won't do anything. It'll just get rid of the two entries because they offset each other. I'm sorry, not those two, but these two. So you'll end up with an amount deposited of 0, and it'll get rid of the two entries, or you can just deposit it at with everything else. So the check entry has this extra step to move it, but it's necessary because we don't want to write a check. So I cannot stress that enough. We don't want to write a check out of that payment section of the AR because our end goal is to kill this thing, not to write a check in the checkbook.